It's difficult for me to think of a media franchise as underappreciated as Unico. First written as a manga series, then adapted as a TV pilot, and eventually 2 theatrical films, Unico rarely comes up in discussions about classic children's fantasy. Ultimately, Unico is an emotional punch to the gut wrapped with a cute bow. It boasts one of the most tragic stories I've ever seen in children's media, and simultaneously stars some of the cutest and most endearing animated characters I can think of. Originally serialized as a manga in the Sanrio magazine Lyrica, yes, that's Sanrio, Unico was created in the late 1970s by Osamu Tezuka, best known for Astro Boy and Kimba the White Lion. The character was a joint effort between Sanrio and Tezuka, initially designed with merchandising in mind. Unlike most of Tezuka's catalog, Unico was designed to be read out of order. Each chapter is a self-contained story, and the reason for this is a big part of what makes Unico so memorable. On the run from a jealous love goddess, Unico must flee via the west wind to new lands. Each time, his memories are wiped and he forgets all of the people he has impacted with his kindness. This premise is the strongest part of the series. It allows for tons of memorable one-shot characters to be introduced, each with their own motivations and quirks. Adorable tragedy is a heart-wrenching combo, and Unico fully embraces it. It works for the same reasons as films like Watership Down or Night on the Galactic Railroad. Cute characters ease you into a false sense of security, and they make the impact of heavy scenes even greater. The manga was successful, and so in 1979, Sanrio decided to take a gamble on a TV pilot movie titled Black Cloud, White Feather. It was the first episode of a proposed series that unfortunately never took off. It was animated by Tezuka Productions, and while it had some great moments, I can see why the show wasn't picked up. The tone of the film is gloomier than even the comics, and sometimes the animation just isn't quite there, especially in the scenes with Unico's adult form. Thankfully, this failed pilot didn't prevent the production of 2 theatrical films in the early 1980s. The Fantastic Adventures of Unico and Unico in the Island of Magic. These films became the most successful and recognizable version of the franchise. Both were animated by Madhouse Studio, and are experimental, sickly sweet, and relentlessly depressing all at the same time. The Fantastic Adventures of Unico takes all of its stories directly from the manga, and sets up the film in chapters too. The second film, Unico in the Island of Magic, features an original story and just one group of characters for Unico to bond with. And for this reason, I actually prefer it to the first. You spend more time with the cast and get to know their quirks. In Fantastic Adventures, as soon as you become endeared to a character, Unico is whisked away to a new world. It's tragic, but leaves a bit less of an impact than Unico being forced to leave characters he's spent an entire film with. Another good thing about Island of Magic is the way it handles its villains. Lord Kuruku is genuinely terrifying and feels like a real threat. The bizarrely designed wizard's apprentice, Torubi, is a great morally grey character that's refreshing to see in a 1980s anime. The first movie definitely has its upsides too. Chow, the kitten who wants to become a human girl, is an extremely endearing character who is taught an uncomfortable and harsh lesson. There's no such thing as a real-life Prince Charming. The pacing and scale of both of these films is still really stunning today, and Island of Magic especially contains quite a few visuals that I will never forget. Unico, like many of my favorite Tezuka works, looks deceptively cute and soft on the surface, and only reveals its complex emotional side as you get to know it.